Hey guys, I'm Blue, the Crafting Cow, and this is going to be a continuation of my series, so if you're not caught up yet, check out the other videos there. My next project is Santa's House, a candy cane house based off of Santa's house in our original childhood world. The first video in this series was touring that world, so go check that out, it's linked below. Before I start his house, I'm just filling out my town by adding another house, extending the path, adding chimneys, just some small updates. When I'm brainstorming, sometimes I'll sketch out an idea. This was my sketch for the build. Messy and not great, but sketching general ideas is a great way to work out issues before you get to them. I started by clearing out some land. When making villages, try not to make it completely flat. It's unrealistic and doesn't look as good as mild variation. For this build, I knew I wanted the house sections to be slightly taller than the village houses, so I started on raised platforms. I put down stone columns in the corners and laid out the groundwork of where I wanted my building, along with where the candy cane was going to pop out. It's not going to go through the inside, but I figured it's better to know where it is. I kept clearing land and adding sections. Usually my houses would be thicker than this, but I really wanted to keep that whimsical sort of vibe like the picture had. Up front, I had sketched out a short platform with stairs to the entrance, so I raised that portion up 2 blocks and added these arch designs in the corners with stairs and blocks. I like this sort of design to make what could be a very boring stone wall a little bit more interesting. Speaking of more interesting, I added texturing. I'm sure it's pretty annoying at this point, but if you haven't, go check out my video on texturing, I will link below. I redid the arch design a bit to add slabs all the way across the top and started on the next section, 1 block taller than the first. I decided to make the portion out back just 1 block tall, but I'm going for a really small arch rather than copying the other houses because I think it looks a bit more refined. Next, I started focusing on the stable design as it sort of acts as the platform in one of the sections. I had this cool idea keeping with the arches that I had to toy around with for a bit to get it right. I placed basically a box of fences with mini arches on top inside of the stone arches. An easy tip for better fences in general is just to put more fence gates in. It adds some variety. I put in a floor out of stone to texture. It's going to be the basement floor for the first and second sections. To finish off that stable area, I added the exit to the stables from the inside of the house, a double arched gate. I textured the basement floor and started working on the floor for the upper level. While I was doing that, I decided to bring my basement floor down 1 in this corner so it wasn't just 2 blocks tall like my fall house basement. After I finished the upper floor, I added the walls of the frontal building. Next, I moved the candy cane base up as it was getting in my way and it wasn't going to pop out of the building there. I understand that a lot of my process seems pretty wild and confusing. I'm trying to explain the best I can, but it's a really strange build. It's not like anything I've ever done before. I decided to bring the basement floor down for a larger section and added a staircase to the lower section. I started filling out the house the same way I did for the village houses. Go check out that video if you're confused. Out front, I added a staircase I had planned in my drawing and a window with some trapdoors and slabs around it for framing. Next, I filled out the top of my stable area. I had to move the arches down 1 so I could do this, but I forgot I needed a floor there, so I added that. Next, I put in some windows for the side of the front building and decorated the inside before adding walls to my stable side. After that, I wanted to complete the basement, so I filled out the other building's floor/basement ceiling and worked out some storage designs out of chests and barrels with lighting around them. I put furnaces into the ground with stairs around them. It's a trick I've used in pretty much all of my other tutorials. It's a great way to fill empty floors. It also acts as a lighting opportunity, as light can move through stairs, so I had shroom lights underneath the stairs. I pushed back the stairs so I could have even more space down there. It's mostly out of shot, but I fixed the double arches as well. Then I worked on the other section of the basement, putting in lecterns, chests, and armor stands with some closets with red, green, and white dyed armor. Finally, I put in some seats and some furnaces before moving back up top. I started filling in the walls in a way that you could still see me work on the inside, and I moved the candy cane up again so it would get out of my way. I swear it will come into play soon. I added some windows in the framing like I put on my village houses, then started the roof on my front house. In most of my videos, you can see that I do the inside before I do the outside, but it was really hard with this weird shape, so I decided to finish the outside. I closed up the walls and started putting roofs on everywhere. I reworked the back roof a few times before settling on the design and putting in windows and more framing with fences. Back inside, I started reworking the floor a bit so it made more sense connecting the houses. I started filling out the roof, and now finally the candy cane comes in. It's just a red cylinder right now, but you can see where it starts breaking into the house all the way around. I tore down all the roofs and walls inside of it to try to make the interior more cohesive, also bringing up my floor inside the back section up a block and adding stairs. It's hard to explain these processes because you guys are really getting a look into how I go with the flow when I'm building. I work with what I made and I try to fix it as I go. Next, I added a floor to line up with my tallest section and created a cool area with the roof for the back part. You can see that I'm adding upside down oak stairs to my ceilings to make them not just blend in with the walls. I did that with my village too. Now I'm going back to the basement to finish it off. I pushed back the stairs and added a few trapdoors around. They make the jump from spruce walls to stone walls feel more gradual. Next, I put a fireplace in the corner to make a homey little hangout spot down here. I put 2 couches around it and added shroom lights beneath them for light before adding some bookshelves in the back corner and finally a painting and some more storage in the back wall. I added some more trapdoors and more furnaces in the ground, and after adding some lanterns, I'm heading back outside to add some detailing to the front of the house and add a garden. I extended the brick path, added some fencing and some grass to put my plants on. I lined with trapdoors and started adding my first whimsical house like I sketched out. I've never done anything like this, so figuring it out was weird, but I worked out a little dark oak frame along the bottom and put my house on top of it, detailing like normal. I extended the village path to the front door and started adding a whimsical house to the back. Is there a better name I'm missing out on? I took a bit of trial and error, but I made it attached to the other house I had up front and added a support pillar to the ground before adding another whimsical house to the other side of the candy cane, gradually adding more height to the candy cane as necessary. I was really intimidated by the inside and I wasn't quite sure how to approach it. I ended up really happy with the result. First, I extended the bits of the upside-down dark oak stairs and the floor of the whimsical house. I added some details and lighting inside and started adding more storage, some bookshelves, an enchantment corner, 2 couches, and a coffee table, a lot like the interior work I do for other builds. I put a ladder up to the 2nd floor and started adding this kitchen furnace area in the back house with plenty of cakes. Young me would be proud. After that, I worked to finish the candy cane, pretty much just bringing the candy cane way up and starting to give it the candy cane shape. I tried to give the swirls, but I had to trial and error that for a bit before I settled on these. I knew the curve of the candy cane was going to be a challenge, so I tried to work out some guiding bits, but I did away with most of them later. I mostly just did what seemed right. It's hard to run through what I did because there really was no process. After I finished the candy cane, I got to work on some more whimsical houses, one on top and one towards the middle of the cane. I tried to add a support, but it looked weird, so I didn't add it. I put another whimsical house on the back, and I'm done with the structuring. Moving inside, I added window framing, covered up the candy cane bits in a lower level with trapdoors, and finished off the stable side of the house with a kitchen extension complete with a sink and a fridge. I filled out the floor and smoothed out the inside a bit before adding the normal detailing, bookshelves, and couches. I made room for a map wall and added a stairway to the whimsical house along with a ladder upstairs and some lighting. I filled in the ceiling and moved to the next floor. I framed my windows and did the same smoothing out on this floor as the last. I put up some random light just to see better, and around the edges you can see I outlined where the next floor will go. I textured all my cobblestone and added storage bits, then started working on the staircase, which took loads of trial and error. On to my next floor, I wanted a bathroom. There were so many in our old world and I just had to try my hand now. I textured, added a wall for privacy, and added a ladder to the next floor outside that wall. I put in a small window, adding framing to the inside and outside, then a potential toilet and a sink, which I filled with water and decorated before moving my toilet over a tad. As a shower, I've seen showers done with birch trapdoor heads, a look I love, but I felt like it didn't match well, so I settled on a dark oak with a spruce basin. Once I finished the inside of the room, I brought up the wall and put in a door with framing, and then the next floor. Once again, I'm smoothing everything out and adding some detailing and stairs. If you want to see some more shots of these parts if I'm moving too fast, go check out my tour video. I made this whimsical house into a little bedroom, but not Santa's. His is coming up. This is more of a guest bedroom. After that, I added loads of storage and trinkets. The next floor's placement was a tricky decision to make, but I settled on a little bit below the curve of the cane. I finished off this area with a very strangely shaped staircase. I didn't have much room, so it's kind of awkward, but I think it looks cool and I'm happy with it. Over the curve, I put down a layer of cobblestone. I added a window at the front of the cane, textured, and added storage. Because I figured Santa wouldn't need a whole bunch of things like a potion making station or a nether portal. This build is kind of a whole ton of storage. On the sides of the cane, I added some closets with green and red armor, and then another couch area, then a whole bunch more storage. On the other side of the cane, I put in some flooring and added a balcony for that top whimsical house. I chose to swap out the storage in the curve for bookshelves, then I added some framing on the whimsical house's windows. I tried to fill out the walls of the whimsical house, but I didn't like how it looked, so after I added the ladder up and trapdoors, I replaced the walls with fences. I swapped the dark oak trapdoors for spruce trapdoors, and you can't see it, but next I replaced the blocks under the fences with upside down stairs. After that, I put some fences below the corners of the whimsical house with lanterns on the ends of them. I put some beds up there to make Santa's little loft, and then I added some storage down below with some chairs. Moving back outside, I wanted to pay homage to our first world and put a glass floor at the bottom of the cane, but I thought the glass floor on its own looked kind of weird, so I made an aquarium. I sandwiched an aquarium between 2 layers of glass, then put some armor stands, chest, and a little window in there to make a nice little room. After that, I textured the roof with slabs, full blocks, and logs, same way I did the village houses. And there we go, that's a candy cane house. I'm really happy with how this turned out, so if you guys do something like this, based on this or anything like that, please send it to me. I always love to see how your builds turned out. Check out my Instagram, my TikTok, my Reddit, my Discord, and my Redbubble. All of them are linked below. Like, subscribe, and comment. I read every single one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.